Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is my review for Uncensored episode 3, and this episode is about Rick Ross, and I think his real name is William Wright. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But I know his first name is William. But and the thing about Rick Ross that I definitely love, well, first, he's currently right now in the hospital, still somewhat in critical condition. So I definitely offer my love and condolences to him and his family, and that he actually, and I pray that his health is restored, and that he actually can, get back to doing what he loves, because he definitely, pretty much from what I've heard as far as the reports, that yeah, it was really bad. But I really do hope he gets better, and I hope he can get back to doing what he loves. Because that's exactly what he talks about in this episode, about him doing things because it's what he loves to do. It's not just about money. And he says, if you're going to make everything just about money, you need to sit down. I do what I love. And that was very moving for me, because, I'm an entrepreneur myself. You should definitely check out my website for a Legal Shield and ID Shield. I have that listed in the description box. And that's something that's very crucial, because a lot of people become, get into the idea of being an entrepreneur, and if you're just totally driven by money, you're not going to really be successful. You have to be driven by your passion on what you love. You have to have that burning desire. And that's exactly what he talks about in this episode of Uncensored. Especially, one of his biggest hits, Every Day I'm Hustling. That's everybody. All of us are hustling, trying to make it. And he says that, look, it's about lifestyle, it's about culture, and also about the fact that I don't care. So I'm going to say what I mean and mean what I say. And not only is he a platinum selling artist, he's also a mogul. He has his own label. He also has other business ventures, and he doesn't limit himself. And he's saying that, look, why do we got to limit ourselves? He's saying that, shoot, we grew up eating oodles and noodles. Now I'm all about eating lemon pepper all flats. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Upgrade. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do as an entrepreneur myself, is to go from rags to riches. And the path is never easy for anyone. It's always a journey. And I like when he said that. He said that, man, we're done with eating oodles and noodles. We want to eat lemon pepper all flats. Wingstop. Which is a brand that he owns, as well as many other brands. So he pretty much stresses the importance of ownership, entrepreneurship, and distribution. And that just really hit me, because it's like, wow, I'm in the same lane. Like, I get it. There's still a lot I have to learn, but I at least got that principle that, yeah, you need to strive for ownership, strive to be your own boss, and strive to get your product out to everybody around the world. So, and he, grew up in Carroll City, Miami, so he's from Liberty City as well. They talk about his mom. His mother was also one of the commentators on the episode, as well as his sister. So he definitely, had a great mother, and she pretty much talked about them, growing up in a rough neighborhood, especially the 80s. That was during, the rise of the crack epidemic, so the drug game was crazy. And then, he definitely had his father, but his father had passed away. But he said that his father pretty much, instilled some good principles in him, that, the whole idea that regardless of what problems you had, there's no use in complaining. Because complaining ain't gonna solve the problem, so why do it? Smart, definitely, I can't think of anything more wise than that. Straight up. And his sister even talks about in this episode that, due to, growing up, they lost a lot of friends due to gun violence. They lost friends due to drug addiction, that they lost a lot of people. And pretty much he also stresses that, look, the rules are different in Miami. Nothing is given to you. Pretty much, he said that he saw, people who were worth $20 million, and then he also saw neighborhoods that were pretty much paying $20 a month to live in these, public housing, and then you got the city all in the middle of it. So he's saying that, yeah, it's a violent place because you got the haves and the have-nots, and then you got the city where they all intersect, and yeah, there's this big divide, and he pretty much mentioned it in this episode. But then he said that, look, at the end of the day, you can choose who you're going to be. You either going to be the person who's going to stay making $20 a month, or are you going to rise and actually try to attain more for yourself? But then he said that, the principles that he learned from his father was about being solid, being loyal, being a man that takes care of his family. He said that, his mom had worked 2 jobs, and on the weekends she had 3 jobs. So she always worked, and she said that she's my hero, and she's somebody that I definitely look up to, a person who's going to make a way out of no way. And I look up to my mother for the same reason. And he said he started getting into rap in the 4th grade. He loved the music, he loved the lifestyle that came with it. And he started to realize that he had a vision for himself that was different than his circumstances, which is always the gateway to becoming an entrepreneur. You have a vision and you see yourself far beyond than where you're at, but you have to go through the journey to get to that place. So yeah, I see it. I'm definitely there. And he also, like Suge Knight, he played football, and he learned, about, competitiveness and being on the team. And, he ended up getting a football scholarship to Albany State. And he said that it was pretty much like a culture shock from him, because here it is coming from Carroll City to now going to Albany State, where it's a totally different environment. And he said that, yeah, he had a hard time there because it was so shocking, but then also he realized that he had more passion for music than he did for football. So after his second semester, he said he just got up and left. And he was saying, and then I think his mother was saying, but your cousin is going to school, this cousin's going to school, that cousin's going to school, but he said that, yeah, they're going to school, but he says, I'm going to be the first one in the family to become a millionaire. So there you go. So I can't do nothing but respect that state of mind, because even though he's walking away from getting a college education, he knew he was going to be somebody. He was just going to have to go down a different path. And that's what it is, that there's multiple paths to success. There's no such thing as doing everything the right way. You need a vision and you need action, and then along the way, you're going to meet people who are going to take you to that next level, or who are going to help elevate you to that next level. So he got that at an early age, and he said that, look, he said just one day, I just woke up and I left and I never went back. And then he also talks about, like his best friend that he grew up with, was serving 30 years, and he even talks about another close friend, this guy named Peanut. He was a family man, he was loyal, he would pick up, he would take his kids to school, as well as, his wife. He was a very loyal man. And he said one day there was a home invasion after he even picked up his wife and kids and they came home. Their home was invaded and they literally killed him right in front of his family. So that's something that you don't forget. That's something that will definitely scar you. Because here it is, this was a good person, but yet got taken down by violence. And it was just senseless and stupid, and it just didn't make sense. So we kind of saw in those moments, we can definitely tell those, his best friend Jabril, and about, Peanut, those are two things that he thinks about every single day. Because in his mind he said it could have been me. It could have been me. So I get it. And pretty much he also talks about, him becoming a correction officer, and he said that, look, I wanted to win, I would do whatever it takes. And he says, yeah, I took the job, and he says I was only there for a few months, but he said, but it was a good experience, I got to talk to inmates who were there for 30, some of them in there for life in prison. And he said that, look, I just did what I had to do to move forward, but I gained a lot of experience doing it, so it went further on. And then he also, talks about working on music and changing the face of music. And then, every day I'm hustling, he was saying that that's something that everybody does. Whether you working in a club, or you're a hustler, or you're a boss, or you stripping on the pole, you hustling. You doing what you got to do to make it. And he said that song had a universal appeal because we all are hustlers in our own way. And then we actually meet, Sam Sneak, who's actually his DJ. He was saying that, him DJing in the clubs in Miami or whatever, they was at the strip club, and he said that he played hustling 8 times in a row. He says sometimes you have to kind of have like a rotation, and you just can't play the same song over and over again. But he said he played that song over and over again. He says I got a lot of trouble for it, but he said the reason is that, hey, everyone was relating to it, and every time I played it, people got more hype. So then he talks about his album, Porto Miami. He also talks about, him meeting, Jay-Z and L.A. Reid, And he said the reason why he called it Porto Miami, because he said that the port is a place where they would, make transactions, of getting cocaine. It came off the water. So that's where a lot of them went to, to get their shipments. So, and then he also talks about some of these principles, set goals and stand on them, growth, never stopping, always focused on getting to that next level. And me being an entrepreneur, being a senior associate with Legal Shield, I'm all about that. I'm all about, continuing to grow and continuing to prosper, and now allowing myself to not allow myself to get caught up or to pretty much give up when things don't go my way, because that's going to happen as an entrepreneur. Things are not going to always go your way, but if you stick with it and you take the no's for one yes, that one yes will change everything. So that's exactly the state of mind he had. And then he also talks about his label, signing, Meek Mill, Wale, Omarion, and a few other acts. He said that I'm all about changing the game of music, not trying to replicate what's already there. I'm trying to bring something new and different. So pretty much he also talks about his whole idea of goal setting, that, what do you want in 5 years? And he says that I mapped that out, but then it's like, okay, I want to see what you can do in 1 year. See if you can do those 5 years in one. And he says that, look, you can make it happen. Anything is possible. And pretty much he also says, as far as him being, being a part of brands, he says he studied the best. He even talks about a cigarette company that he turned down. They will offer him a hell of a lot of money, like in the millions, but he turned it down. He says, for one, I don't smoke. And he says, at the end of the day, if it don't reflect me, I'm not going to do it. I don't care how much money you give me. Not all money is good money. And I'm like, boom. That's something that all of us need to understand. Look, just because they flash in dollars doesn't mean you say yes. Some money you should say no to, especially if it's not towards your well-being and it compromises who you are as a person. So I thought that was very groundbreaking that he brought that up. That, look, there was $1 million on the tables that I walked away from. Not all money is good money. Just because it's money doesn't mean you're supposed to take it. At the end of the day, you're in the game to make money, but you want to make money doing what you love, not making money just doing any old thing. And he says that, look, I promote things that I enjoy. I love them. Like he starts talking about Checkers and Wingstop, where he definitely, he definitely owns the brand. So he's got money coming in more than one place. And then he also kind of talks about his whole beef with 50 Cent, and he was saying that, look, if anything, they just talk about it briefly or whatever. But I have to say, 50's a mess. I mean, I'm not even going to go into that whole beef thing, but, pretty much they just touched on it. But I'm just saying what I said about 50's a mess, that when he made that comment, from Rocky IV, if he dies, he dies. Yeah, it's an infamous line, but yeah, it's pretty much a line where you say you don't give a fuck if somebody lives or dies or whatever. So yeah. But, if anything, their beef is still going on, so, it is what it is. And like, when there's a beef, it's all out war. But yeah, he even said in this episode that, hey, if it really comes down to it, instead of him trying to have beef, he should try some all flats. I was like, that was cute. That was real cute. Like, let's just eat some food and get over this bullshit. I'm over it. So I feel you. And then he also talks about that he suffers from seizures, and that he had a seizure on the plane and he had blacked out. And he said when he woke up in the hospital, he said he saw somebody with a gun over him, and he kind of like freaked out, like what the hell's going on. But then when he woke up and saw that there was nobody there, he later on finds out the gun was from an armed officer who was there, and he was saying that, yeah, we got you, we're gonna make sure you good. I'm gonna make sure that ain't nobody gonna fuck with you. So he said that's where but he said that those seizures kind of woke him up, where he started to work on himself, working on getting raw stick, because and I'm doing the same on my end, because it's not just about losing weight, it's about being healthy, and it's about being your best you, so you can actually live the life that you love and do the things that you love to do. So he says, I call it raw stick, because he says, I'm not trying to be skinny, I'm just trying to be healthy. And that's exactly what we all should be striving to do, just being healthy. And one quote that he said that really stuck with me is that when you're kings and queens, you deserve the world. I know I'm a king, and I know I'm surrounded by other kings and queens. And if you actually apply yourself, and you actually choose that you're going to live your dream, and you're going to make your dream a reality, no matter what circumstances you're in, you can conquer the world, and you can make it happen. So I thought that was so pretty much, he definitely talked about that. But and pretty much the one thing that he definitely stuck with at the last part of this was that, he's like, look, I got a beautiful home, I got a beautiful life, beautiful family, and he pretty much says that the main things you need to understand is, one, don't stop nothing, don't limit yourself, and be unlimited. That spoke volumes for me, and it speaks volumes to all of us who are trying to make our lives better. We're trying to make our lives better as far as relationships, as far as health, as far as finances, as far as career, as far as, talent. There's so many different avenues where those principles apply. And I, for one, am going to be unlimited. And I also stress for all of you to be unlimited. If you have a dream, if you have a passion, if you have a goal in life, go at it full force, and don't let no one tell you what you can and can't do. Because you can do all things that are possible. And you can do all things through Christ who strengthens us all. So, keep that in mind. So that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But yeah, this was a good episode. And again, I send all my condolences to Rick Ross and his family, and I pray that he makes a speedy recovery. So subscribe to my channel. Click that bell to get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, check out my website for Legal Shield and ID Shield, which is my business. You can check out my business website in that description box, as well as my other social platforms. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Uncensored. So until next time, everybody, take care.